Hi, I'm Kevin Michalowski, editor of Concealed Carry Magazine. I'm here with Mike Janich. He is the founder and lead instructor at Martial Blade Concepts. He is also the new knife fighting editor at Concealed Carry Magazine. So, Mike, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for the opportunity.
I want to talk a little bit about knives because so many of our members also carry knives as part of their self-defense kit. And I'm much more afraid of a knife than I am of a gun. I figure if somebody pulls out a gun and starts shooting at me, chances are pretty good they're going to miss and I can get to cover. And if we're at close distance, extreme close quarters battle, and somebody's swinging a knife around and they have any idea what they're doing, I'm going to get cut, and I'm probably going to get cut badly.
Even if they don't have an idea of what they're doing, most knife attacks occur at close distance, and knives don't run out of ammo. So it keeps coming. Knife attacks typically involve repetitive motions. So certainly from the recipient's point of view, if you're being attacked with a knife, it's very, very dangerous. But what that also gives you is lots of potential as far as being able to use a knife as a defensive weapon if you choose to carry one for that purpose. The key, as always, is training.
I've always carried a liner lock folder, typically on my right side, same side as my gun. I just recently got away from that because I have car keys in there, stuff's in the way. It just wasn't, I didn't feel like it was working for me. Okay. And I had that idea in my head. I didn't want to confuse what I'm reaching for. If I'm reaching for something on this side, it's probably going to be my gun. So I just recently started carrying, it's almost like a karambit, just a little hook blade knife that I can tag on my belt right over here. And I got it on my offside hand. When I'm on duty as a police officer, I carry a TDI knife right behind my ammo.
Sure.
So it works for me, and I've trained to use that, and I'm starting to train up and get more comfortable with this knife on my left side hip. But in general, where do you think people should be carrying a knife?
What you need to think about, it's interesting you mentioned your service as a police officer, because what you're looking at is a duty-bound person who's carrying openly. Weapon retention is a critical concern.
Right.
People know you have a gun. The ultimate weapon retention for a concealed carry holder is concealment.
Absolutely. We tell people that all the time.
Exactly. So you should be able to wear the gun properly, carry the gun properly so it's not exposed. So you'll hear that from a lot of gun guys, if you will. I carry a knife on my left side to cut somebody off of my gun. If they're going to try to grab my gun, then that's what I'm going to do. But when you ask them, okay, draw your knife with your non-dominant hand, especially a folder, open it quickly, and then show me what you can do with it.
Yep. That's why I went with a straight knife, because I know I'm not opening a folder with my left
Exactly.
hand.
So the fixed blade is perfect for weapon retention stuff. But what you need to think about is, why are you carrying the knife? You'll have people who will say, well, the knife is a backup to my gun. Okay. Why would you need a backup to your gun? Under what circumstances? What you need to do is think through those possibilities. So is it something where you had a catastrophic malfunction that you can't fix in the middle of a fight, and you'd rather not just beat somebody with the impact weapon that you now have in your hand, and you want to transition to the knife? That's perfectly legitimate as far as when you would bring the knife into play. You also want to think about, though, lifestyle overall. The way I look at it, I travel a lot. In many cases, I travel to places outside the reciprocity where I don't have the ability to carry a gun. So what I look at is, in any situation where I might have to defend myself, what I've got is the challenge of having to survive the initial assault and then get my weapon into play.
Right.
What I call earning the draw.
Okay.
So if you're being attacked at close range, if you're going to guns, you have to do whatever it is. Ideally, awareness and avoidance will allow you to see what's going on and be able to address a situation with a firearm from a distance, which of course
we want to have that time. Distance is wonderful, but we can't have that all the time.
Exactly. It doesn't, and it's no guarantees. When you go out in public, things happen so quickly. There's so many people around. Maintaining that high level of vigilance is really difficult. So when you get to that situation where you're being attacked at close range, especially a situation where the knife would actually be a viable weapon against another contact distance threat, you have to survive whatever's happening and then get to your knife. So what I look at is, what empty hand skills, what combative skills do I need to be able to get to my weapon? And I want that to apply to all my weapons. So if I'm drawing a gun, I would be guarding. If I'm being attacked at close range, I default to a guard. I would draw, come back, make sure my hands come together safely so I'm not muzzle flashing my hand. My draw stroke is basically a guarded draw. If I'm drawing my knife, what I want is a knife carried in such a place that the same mechanics apply. So I would still guard, I'd go to drop my knife would come out, I would deploy and bring it into play. Even my backup knife, carried in the back pocket, same mechanics. I would guard, reach into the back pocket, draw, that knife comes out as well. So no matter where I'm carrying, what I look at is my dominant hand doing most of the work,
Yep. Doing what your dominant hand normally does, which is that position
Exactly.
to the draw.
And that way you have the same mechanics as far as the draw stroke, you have the same mechanics as far as getting to whatever weapon you carry. And that really applies for anything from true centerline carry to appendix, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, back pocket, wherever you might go. Those same mechanics apply because I'm guarding here. 90% of the people out there are right-handed, so 90% of the contact distance weapon attacks will come to the left side of your body. So we're basically stacking the odds in our favor based on what's most likely to happen. And then building mechanics, the same draw is also what I would use to clear a cover garment. So you basically build that into the draw stroke as well, and it essentially make all your body mechanics support whatever weapons you might carry.
So I guess in short order now, you've taught me that I need to buy another knife and get some more knife training, or get the right knife for me. A straight knife on this side of my body, I could probably do a static line carry or something like that.
Static line carry is great because that's accessible to both hands. And basically what that is, you saw that when you were resheathing your knife, it's kind of a delicate
tough,
process. And the better fed you are, the more challenging it becomes. But what you need to look at is with the static line, you take that same sheath and what you do is just attach a short length of 550 cord. Loop that around your belt and then tuck the knife and sheath into your belt. So when you draw it, what happens is the sheath and the knife come out together and then the knife clears the sheath away from your body. What's great about that is I can draw that with my dominant hand. I could also draw it with my non-dominant hand, and it can go in any direction. So depending upon the dynamics of the fight, if you're already involved in a struggle and you have to draw over here to make sure you keep the weapon away from your attacker, you can draw in any direction. And that's one of the things I like as far as fixed blades. But again, you've got to put it into context as far as your personal needs. You being, a law enforcement officer, having that duty-bound context, that changes things. It's very different than what a civilian would have, and a civilian just has to have a different thought process.
Well, outstanding. I can see that it's going to be great having you on staff because we're going to get this information, and I want to bring you back, and maybe we'll talk more about knives. But very clearly, you can't just put a knife in your pocket and walk around with it and hope that it's going to do you any good.
If you want to open boxes, open envelopes, spread some peanut butter, that's fine. If you're counting on something to save your life, the tool itself is not enough. You need to have the training to go with it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, Mike.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
I'm Kevin Michalowski, editor of Concealed Carry Magazine. If you like these videos, please subscribe to our page. We'll give you more great information every week.